Yo, it's Go, and welcome to the video. Balance Druid mastery snapshotting for our solar eclipse has been a known thing coming for Cata Classic. That just means that we will have a second set of gear that doesn't focus on being hit capped. Doesn't matter if it's leather or cloth. The amount of spell power doesn't have anything to do with it. The only thing that matters is having as much mastery as possible. This set of gear can be physical DPS gear, tank gear, so it could be leather gear with agility, cloth gear that mages, locks, and priests are going after, melee or tank jewelry like necks, rings, and trinkets that could have strength, agility, dodge, parry, expertise, as long as it gives us the most mastery possible for that slot of gear. This means we'll be fighting everybody for gear from heroics in order to boost our snapshot. So I suggest getting a guild group together to help you so you aren't rolling against people who are going for their quote-unquote main spec gear. Even though this gear is technically for our main spec as well, they're just not going to know what we're doing with it. So you might get kicked from that heroic group, labeled a ninja, cause drama on the server. Even with all that potentially happening, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to queue up heroics randomly and roll off the gear. And if I win it, I win it. Thought about letting people know ahead of time, but then I might just get kicked at the start of the dungeon and then have to re-queue. I know I might upset some people, but this sort of snapshot is really going to increase our DPS. And this is only the tip of the iceberg on the new style of Balance Druid play that's being coined the Sunkin. So let's take a look at everything that word entails. Let's start off by taking a look at the gear. This spreadsheet was created by JunaBreezer, who is very active in the Balance Druid Discord. And for this video, I'll just be taking a look at the pre-raid gear. For the Helm, we have Sanga's Helm, which is a 359 epic BOE. I'm on Mancrick NA, and the cheapest one currently on the auction house is 5,900 gold. If you don't want to spend that amount of gold, there is a 346 eye level Helm of the Typhonic Beast that drops from Setish in Halls of Origination. It is a cloth helm, so you'll have to fight those mage, locks, and priests, and it's 46 mastery less than this epic helm. Surely that helm's price is going to go down, so having this 346 to tide you over until then is what I plan on doing. For the enchant, it's the Arcanum of the Highlands, which means you need to be exalted with your Twilight Highlands reputation, depending on whether you're a Horde or Alliance. It will be either the Dragon Maw clan or the Wildhammer clan. For the meta gem, there is the Fleet Shadow Spirit Diamond that will give 54 mastery. And for the other socket, as well as many other future sockets, you'll be putting in a Fractured Amber Jewel for 40 mastery. For the neck, we can buy this one off of the auction house, and that is the Eye of Many Deaths. It's crafted from jewel crafting. The mats aren't too terribly expensive on its own, but there's a steep markup on Mancrick's auction house, so it would cost me 9,900 gold. Instead of paying that price, I'm just going to keep my yellow smoke pendant, which is also from being exalted with the Twilight Highlands reputation, so I'll be missing out on 22 mastery by choosing the different neck. Shoulder, we have an easy one, the Meadow Mantle, which is just 1650 justice points. But for the shoulder enchant, you will need to be exalted with the Therazane reputation so that you can buy the Greater Inscription of Shattered Crystal. Only 25 mastery, but this is the only shoulder enchant that would give you mastery from this reputation. The Cloak slot is going to be the first piece on the list that people will think that we have no business rolling on, and that's because it has strength, and that is the Burned Gatherings that drops in Blackrock Caverns Heroic. The second best options are about 40 mastery lower than this, so this cloak is the same as having any of those other cloaks with having an extra gem socket on it, pretty much. So even though strength wearers won't enjoy me rolling on it, I'm going after this Burned Gatherings cloak. For the chest, there's Dizzy's Whirling Robe, which is similar to the Helm, in that it's an epic 359 eye level BOE. This cloak is going for 15,000 gold. That's a hard pass for me, so I'm going to look at a different chest instead. And there's actually two chests to choose from, and that's Corsair's Overshirt from Cookie and Heroic Deadmines, or the Vest of Mishappen Hides from Uridax in Grim Batol. Getting either of these 346 eye level chests will be 42 mastery less than the epic 359. For the bracers, there's a PvP piece, the Vicious Gladiator's Bindings of Prowess. Costs 1250 conquest points, which really you can get by just losing arena matches. And it doesn't require any rating or anything like that. But I think it's fair to have these on the list. If you are a big PvPer, there might be some additional options, pieces that are tied behind raiding. I haven't looked that far into it, but I'm confident it won't take you very long to get these at all. Gloves are fairly easy to get, and that is the Flame Bloom gloves by being exalted with the Earthen Ring. The enchant, however, for 65 mastery, requires 2 Maelstrom crystals as well as a couple other mats, so this is going to be very pricey right now. But the 50 mastery enchant for gloves is super cheap, so I've gone with that enchant for now until the price of those crystals comes down. For the waist, we have Stratosphere Belt, which drops in the Vortex Pinnacle Heroic off the first boss. It is a cloth belt, so good luck rolling it against the clothies without them getting too upset. For the legs, we have the Flame Ascended Pantaloons, which is crafted from tailors. I myself am a tailor. I'll just craft these on my own, so they'll be free, and it just costs 6 Dream Cloth. If you're trying to buy these off the auction house, they're currently around 15,000 gold, which I guess I'm losing now that I think about it, since I'm just going to craft them and wear them. Oh well. If you're not a tailor and you don't want to craft these on your own, or you don't want to buy them off the auction house, whatever, there is a 346 eye level pair of legs that cost 2,200 justice points. And those are the leggings of the Burrowing Mole. So even though they have agility on them, you don't have to fight any other melee. You can just go to the vendor and buy them. And by doing so, you're only missing out on 9 mastery. For our feet, we have Awakening Footfalls, which is actually a leather spellcasting pair of boots. They drop in Halls of Origination off of the first boss. The Mastery boot enchant doesn't require any crazy materials like the Maelstrom crystals or anything. This shouldn't be too expensive to buy from the auction house. For the first ring and first trinket, the Umbrous Band and Scarden's Grace, they both drop off of the first boss in Grim Batol. The Umbrous Band has strength on it, so good luck. And the trinket has agility, but it also has an on use to give 1425 mastery for 20 seconds. So we'll combine this on use with a proc trinket that we'll get to in a second to get that big solar snapshot. The other ring is the Red Rock Band by being revered with Ramkahin, which previously I didn't really focus on this rep, but I have gotten it up to revered just so that I can have this ring. The second trinket, and arguably the biggest mastery piece for this snapshot, is the Porcelain Crab that drops in Throne of the Tides. Lots of tanks are looking for this trinket as they're gearing up. If you're lucky enough to see it drop, good luck on winning the roll. With the 1824 mastery proc, will pair very well with the on use of the other trinket. The polearm is Selza's Spear, which drops off the first boss in Lost City of the Tolvir. I double checked all the main hand offhand combos, and this polearm has a good amount more mastery than any other combo or any other staff. For the relic, we have the Notched Jawbone, which is a BOE from Inscription. Currently 1,500 gold on the auction house. And there is a relic that drops with the same exact mastery from Vanessa Van Cleef in Dead Mines, and that is the Record of the Brotherhood's End. This one does have strength on it, but the price of the BOE relic keeps going down, as does all the other BOEs. I might end up just buying this one if I don't get the one to drop from Dead Mines. And the last 2 items on the list are consumes. First up, we have the Lava Scale Mindstone Food Buff, which will give you 90 mastery, and then the Elixir of the Master to give 225 mastery. Using both of those is just icing on the cake. If you have this entire list, including consumes, you should have 6,636 mastery, which equates to 37 mastery rating. Each of those ratings gives 2% extra damage. 37 times 2, 74, and we have a base 41% damage from our mastery, bringing us to 115% extra damage with our snapshot. Now, how to get your snapshot is while you're in your heroic at the very beginning, or you're in trash in your raid, you'll want to equip your mastery set and get 1 cast away from entering solar. I don't have the best gear yet. I don't have either of the trinkets, the proc or the on use, so we'll just pretend that I do. And you'll want to wait until you have the proc trinket activate, and then as soon as it does, you hit your on use trinket, and then cast your Starfire to get into solar, and then your mastery will snapshot. Right now I have 61% extra damage, and that's with 1,882 mastery. Then if I put on my normal PvE gear, I'm down almost 1,000 mastery, but my Eclipse still shows 61% extra damage. Now I've got my hit cap, and I'm good to go and pump some nature spells. Previously, that was the extent of the snapshot. You would then get your Insect Swarm up, your Sunfire, maybe pop mushrooms if you had more than one target. And then you would lose the snapshot and then get into lunar and then go back and forth as normal without that bonus snapshot. The Sunkin Theorycraft is saying that it doesn't matter how many targets, you're just going to stay in that solar. Single target, 2 targets, full on AoE, and just never leave solar, which will make the rotation just popping your mushrooms, keeping up your dots like your insect swarm and sunfire. You can still pop your treants and starfall, but you're not going to be casting Star Surge unless it's the end of the fight and you have enough solar energy to not drop out of the snapshot, and you're not going to be casting Wrath. So if mushrooms are on cooldown, dots are up, cooldowns are done, then you'll just fill with your starfire. Something I've noticed while practicing this rotation in heroics is that I can really feel that I'm not getting the bonus from Euphoria by getting that 16% mana from swapping from solar into lunar. So just keep that in mind if you're trying this for the first time. Another talent that's going to lose some of its benefit is Nature's Grace. Since we aren't going into lunar or solar, we won't be resetting the cooldown for Nature's Grace, so we'll only be able to benefit from this once every minute. And also, shooting stars could have some value if you're trying to shoot a Star Surge at the end of the fight from a proc, but during the fight, you're not going to want to use these procs. And this is my PvP spec. That's why I have Lunar Shower there, sorry. For the glyphs, if you previously had Moonfire, Insect Swarm, and Wrath, you'll want to replace that Wrath with Starfire. Since when you die, you lose your snapshot. It might be a while until we see a lot of Sunkin rising to the top of the damage meters. Once progression is over and things are on farm, and you can go in and one-shot the boss, then here's an example of the type of damage that you'll be able to do. This is normal mode for twins, but you can see the 5th and 6th ranked DPS are both Boomkin, as well as a few more down below if you keep scrolling. But they're pumping out 33 plus K DPS. If you take a look at their damage breakdown, you can see it's all Sunfire, Insect Swarm, Mushrooms, Starfire, and they did cast some Star Surge. And if you break it down a little bit further, you can see they started off with a pre-casted Starfire, exploded their Mushrooms, put up their dots, popped their Springs, sent out the Treants, sent off one Starfire, then switched targets, got both dots up on the other target, got the Mushrooms down, detonated them right away. You can put your Mushrooms back down right away as soon as you detonate, so it's ready to go boom as soon as it's off cooldown, and then filled with Star Surge and Starfire, and then rinsed and repeated. So there you have it. There's Sunkin, how to do it, the gear to get. Now it's up to you to decide if it's worth the extra damage and effort. I'm going to give it a try. I think if it ends up becoming too good, we might see a change happen from Blizzard. Snapshotting is all good and fun, but I feel like it should work dynamically and update currently off of whatever your current mastery is. Let me know what you think, and if you've given Sunkin a try, have you liked it or not? You can keep up with all the latest info by joining the Druid Discord, checking out the Cataclysm Balance Druid channel, and then checking out the pinned comments. Also, that spreadsheet that I was referencing for the pre-raid gear will be linked in the description and will also be continuously updated. As you might have seen, there's a set for Phase 1 BIS Mastery Snapshot Sunkin Snapshot set. And also keep an eye out on Wowhead. I believe they'll be updating with a guide for Sunkin as well.